Get Up. We are beginning our second hour here at our Hudson Street studios, and we start, as we did last hour, in Pittsburgh, where T.J. Watt and the Steelers have agreed to a 3-year extension that will make him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Watt, who leads the NFL in sacks across the last 5 seasons, is going to earn $41 million a year as part of a contract that includes $108 million fully guaranteed at signing, and the celebrations ensued online. T.J. Watt posting this picture on Instagram shortly after the news was announced. He looks fired up and ready to go after an off season of wondering when this would get done. T.J. Watt has missed only 11 games in his 8-year career, but in those games, the Steelers are 1-10. So Mike T, that I'm not, necessarily big into the analytics, but that tells me he's an important player for them. What does this signing mean for this year's Steelers?
It puts a ribbon on an offseason that was very atypical of Pittsburgh, Dan. Go back to trading for DK Metcalf, give up a second-round pick. But to me, the inflection point, again, 21st pick in the first round of the draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and they pass on a quarterback. They take a very good player in Derek Harmon. When you commit to Aaron Rodgers, certainly on what looks like a 1-year deal, there is no way T.J. Watt's going to leave. So I think this deal is bootstrapped to that very moment where they commit to Aaron Rodgers. Once Rodgers is there, Jonnu Smith follows, Jalen Ramsey follows, and getting T.J. Watt signed is just the last logical step to a very interesting offseason where, to me, it's now fair to speculate, are we close to the end of the Mike Tomlin era in Pittsburgh if things don't work out? And again, I think, despite what Harry thinks, that Aaron Rodgers is going to struggle, at least at the beginning, because he wasn't there in the offseason program.
You're just a hater, Mike T.
No, I just go by what I see, which is I'd rather have Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow than Aaron Rodgers. Not to say it's impossible, but again, despite Aaron Rodgers' great career, I think they have the third best offense in this division.
Well, can I say this?
Go ahead.
Do you know how many offenses and quarterbacks would be the third best quarterback behind Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow? Well, like it's not like we're talking about two guys who aren't elite. They are elite of the elitist when you talk about Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. So, Mike T, when you say that, I'm like, how many other quarterbacks wouldn't be the third best quarterback in the division with those two guys?
But that's the point, right? This is the Steelers who continue, RC, as you know, to make the playoffs, lose in the first round. It's been a long time since they won a playoff game. The standard there, as you also know, is Super Bowl championship. So if you're the third best quarterback or the third best team in your division, that doesn't set you up great to do that. Mike T just said something very interesting about Mike Tomlin, who you know obviously very, very well. Do you get the feeling that this is kind of a make or break zone there?
No.
All right, moving
Listen,
on.
I haven't gotten many calls or many text messages from the facility about things I said. Like every time I see Mike T, he mostly just laughs at me. But this wasn't from Mike T, but for somebody else in the building. I was talking about Mike T and making sure they got the right pieces around him and having people that can move him forward and push his message forward and getting the right type of Steeler folks in the locker room. And I got the text message that I agree with everything you said, but the only place for Mike Tomlin, the coach, is in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. And that means that he's built up enough equity. He's had enough deposits into the emotional bank accounts of the people in that building that I believe Mike Tomlin is going to be there as long as Mike Tomlin is going to be there now or wants to be there. I've said multiple times on this show and other shows that I don't believe Mike Tomlin should be fired. I do believe they should start having conversations year after year if this is the best marriage for both parties. If Mike Tomlin as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers is what he wants and what the organization wants, and they think the best thing for both of them to move forward. I've been on record saying that Mike Tomlin needs an Andy Reid run somewhere else. Preferably somewhere where the quarterback won't always be the third best quarterback in the division. Because I agree with Harry, unless somehow you can go get Josh Allen or you can go get Patrick Mahomes, which I doubt Kansas City or Buffalo are in a rush to get rid of either of those two players, you're going to have the third best quarterback. I don't believe, though, that it's the third best team. And so that's what Mike Tomlin has to do is make sure this team competes at a level where they can.
Yeah, RC, it's really interesting what you said because I was thinking, like, does this have a little bit of the vibe of what it was like towards the end with Andy Reid in Philly, where it was a very amicable sort of ending between him and the owner, Jeff Lurie?
Yeah.
And you just wonder, like, okay, hey, this is a historic run. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and maybe at the end of the year, does he sit down with the Rudy family and say, hey, this has been incredible. We both parties may be better off, separating, and then the line would be around the corner in terms of teams trying to get Mike Tomlin, much the way Kansas City did with Andy Reid.
But Andy's last season in Philly was a bad season. I think they won 4 or 5 games.
That's
Mike
right.
Tomlin has not had that season, famously, as the Steelers head coach. Do you think this is a kind? If it doesn't all come together, all these offseason moves, could they have that bad a year, or do you think he's immune to that?
I don't think they're going to have that bad of a year. When you look at, number one, the messaging, and I do not believe the messaging is still in the locker room when it comes to Mike Tomlin and getting his message across. It's about guys going out there and making plays, and we do know the quarterback position have held this football team up for a very, very long time since post-Big Ben. Now, one of the reasons why you wait on an Aaron Rodgers is because you feel like you say to yourself, if we have Mason Rudolph as our quarterback, do we have a chance to even compete in this division? Do we have a chance to make the playoffs? And my answer is 1,000% no. So you do everything in your power once you're committed to an Aaron Rodgers to go get him, to make sure that you even have a chance.
RC, I remember when they signed Aaron Rodgers, you were kind of like, all right, fine. Feeling better or more confident about how this can work with him?
I think I'm plenty confident that Aaron Rodgers is going to play well. I think Aaron Rodgers and Coach Tomlin are going to have a great relationship of 2 of the greatest professionals to ever do their job. But that doesn't mean they're going to go beat Buffalo, or they're going to go beat the Baltimore Ravens, or they're going to go beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's the conversation we've been having. They'll be good enough. I believe this is a playoff contender. I believe this is a team that can get them a spot in the playoffs. And I also believe the ceiling is winning a wild card game. But that's been the gripe of the Pittsburgh Steelers fans for over a decade in Pittsburgh. Yes, we're good enough, but we're not good enough to be the Pittsburgh Steelers standard, which you just said, Dan, is winning Lombardi trophies.
I think one of the things to also look at when it comes to Aaron Rodgers being in Pittsburgh is, A-Rod, when he became a starting quarterback, Mike McCarthy was going into his 3rd season. When he was with the Jets, Robert Saleh was going into his 3rd year. This is the first time in his career that he's going somewhere where he's going to have a head coach with a lot of cachet. And just listen to his interviews. When he was in New York, it was Robert said this, Robert that. When he got to the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was Coach Tomlin. That's a huge difference in itself with me, because when you look at things from a respect level, him respecting Mike Tomlin and that mutual respect that they have for one another, I believe is going to be able to allow these two to have that relationship that pushed them forward to where they want to be.
You know what's interesting to me? Like, the Steelers as an organization really are playing the long game, meaning they didn't take a quarterback at 21 because obviously they didn't feel great about whomever, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders. It doesn't matter at this point. And we all know next year's draft is loaded with quarterbacks. So it's weird to call Aaron Rodgers a bridge quarterback, but for what they're paying him at his age, maybe they're saying, hey, we like Caleb Johnson, we like Derek Harmon, we like our nucleus, and if we could kind of bridge with Aaron Rodgers, which is, again, an odd thing to say, we could get to the other side, we have our Hall of Fame coach, and maybe, next year there's a much better opportunity to get a quarterback.
It might sound odd, but I mean, it is what
They're
it is.
just allergic
like
to losing.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're not a problem, right?
They're just
they're never
allergic
bad
to
enough
losing.
to rebuild.
They don't want to lose.
Yeah. So anyway, we got plenty more. We got plenty more, and the Steelers have been absolutely fascinating this offseason. Will be fascinating this season. But what sparked this conversation was the news of T.J. Watt's extension, which made him the highest-paid pass rusher in the league. The record for highest-paid pass rusher salaries has gone up a lot, from $35 million to $41 million, as you see, just in a few months. And that is notable for guys like Trey Hendrickson and Micah Parsons, who are still out there looking for their own new extensions. So, Mike Tannenbaum, as Mike throws things around the studio here, what do you make of the way Jerry Jones and the Cowboys have handled the Micah situation?
I don't think they did a very good job, kind of like Brandon dropping the ball there, for a couple of reasons. When you have a great player like Micah Parsons, you want to get him signed as quickly as you possibly can. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and we can give you countless examples of them being proactive with their core players. Micah Parsons will be the highest paid player, non-quarterback in the NFL. That's easy. If we were having this discussion a year ago, guys, it was Nick Bosa at $34 million. At a minimum, this is $7.5 million more a year. On a 5-year deal, that's another $35 million that Micah Parsons has earned, but now you're taking away from guys that when DeMarcus Lawrence leaves or Jordan Lewis leaves, amongst others, and you're trying to catch the Eagles or now the Commanders, it really hurts their team the way they strategically go about signing their players. It goes back to Zeke Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. I don't understand Dallas's approach by waiting. It just gets more expensive, and as good as they draft guys, it just hurts them and their ability to retain their good players.
Flip side is if Micah had signed last year for 35, 36 a year, he'd feel kind of silly right now, right? Looking at guys getting 40, 41. RC, I mean, when you look at the Micah situation in Dallas, do you feel the same way as Mike T, like it should have been done by now?
Hey, two things Jerry Jones ain't tripping on. Jerry Jones is like, I'm okay with my money earning interest, and I'm okay with saying I just made this dude the highest paid player at his position, because he does hold on to this money or hold on to these contracts until the last possible moment to get it done. But as we saw with Dak Prescott, he's okay with making you the highest paid quarterback. As we saw with CeeDee Lamb, he's okay with slotting you right behind Justin Jefferson with your contract. And so Micah Parsons is going to break the bank. And I agree with Mike T. It's not only about just how much more money you owe him now than you would have last year. It's about looking in that locker room and saying, we're going to make all of you fight tooth and nail to the end to get your deal. No matter who you are, no matter what you show us, it's going to take it to the last moment for you to actually get us to give you the money you deserve. And I think they have to get out of that mindset. Get into the mindset of, if we draft you, if you produce, we take care of you, and we take care of you early. I think Jerry Jones has kind of been in this spot ever since we think back to Emmitt Smith holding out 2 games to get his contract. You have to do the right thing. If you're Jerry, it saves you money, but it also sends the message in the locker room. If you ball for us, we take care of you, not when we have to, but when you want to.
RC just said something right there. You have to do the right thing. What did the Pittsburgh Steelers do? They did the right thing. We're in New York. Spike Lee made a movie about it. Jerry, you got to go watch that movie. Do the right thing.
All right. I think the interesting part of this is like the message, talking about messages sent in the locker room. Like one of the messages the Cowboys players have gotten over the years is, hey, if you wait till the last minute, you're going to get all the money, right? So that could be part of this as well.
But it's just the way of thinking for the Cowboys organization, I really don't understand it. The only thing I can put behind it is that Jerry Jones loves the spotlight so much that he wants the attention no matter if it costs him millions of dollars.
But Harry, you could get that attention somewhere else. Look, I was very fortunate. I ran 2 NFL teams. I defined the job of being a GM as the point guard of information, and I could walk into the owner and the head coach and say, if we pay player X this amount, here's what we can do and here's what we can't do. And to me, if I was working with Jerry Jones, I would tell him every day, like, look, Micah Parsons is going nowhere. He is a great young player.